We are a channel that appreciates its viewers. We give our utmost effort for the best quality content, and we even push for the highest quality effort when it comes to how we look for you on screen.
Hi. When I need my skin to look its absolute best when I'm blowing the heads off zombies, I set my ring light to 4700K. Because I care. Maybe he's born with it.
Join our community. Join a channel that loves its viewers. Join this channel because we care.
Hello. Are you there?
Sorry about that. I forgot I muted myself for the intro.
No
Hey,
problem.
everybody.
You don't need to do that. Just so you know, whenever all that other stuff goes up, our mics are automatically cut off.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, thank you.
Just so you know. What's up, Michaela? Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you being here. You were probably on time. I was not.
I got here about probably 10 minutes before, just so that way we could kind of go over a few things, but I didn't know you were feeling under the weather.
Yeah, I apologize. I want to apologize to everybody out there right now. I've
Don't
caught that
apologize.
flu bug.
We get sick, you know? People get sick.
It happens. It happens.
Yes.
So yes, I am excited about tonight's show. We were just talking about the fact that tonight's show. This is the cool thing about doing the show, right? We learn
Hey there, Alex.
things that we didn't know.
Yeah.
We did not know. So when we originally envisioned the show, we had talked about making ADD and ADHD two separate topics because we thought they were two separate things, right? But what did we learn?
Well, we learned that back in 1987, the psychiatry and psychological and mental health people and the ADHD foundations and stuff smooshed the two together to just bring it to ADHD and then represent everybody in the spectrum of ADD, ADHD
Right.
under one thing to make it a bit easier, since everybody was using the two things so interchangeably.
Exactly.
So it was very hard for me to try to find a movie or game or anything that was specifically one over the other. And I'm like, well, I got to find out why. And then I looked it up and I'm like, holy crap, I can't do it.
Right. So they had been combined a while ago, I guess, and we were unaware that had happened. So we are talking about ADHD, and we were hoping to have a guest in tonight, but I don't think that worked out.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
That was too last minute. I was hoping to get in Alexa, who we just interviewed Sunday night.
The young lady, yes.
Yeah, she is an editor, and I hope I'm not giving anything away because it's nothing she didn't talk about Sunday night. But she is an editor for New Rockstar. She got her start doing this is what I loved her story. She was just doing fun little video edits on her YouTube page, and somehow someone at one went viral, and somehow somebody at New Rockstars saw it and contacted her and asked her if she was looking for an editing job. How often does that happen?
It's kind of how we met, my friend. You saw something I was doing, and after Michaela got me introduced to you guys, and happens every now and again.
I guess that's true. It does happen every once in a while.
But her story was awesome. I rewatched that whole show, and I'm just sitting there going, wow, that's amazing. Oh, that is so cool.
And so what I absolutely loved about that was I had seen this study. God, I really wish I knew more details or even the name or when it came out. It was produced by Google. It was produced by the Google researchers. And what it was a study, and they were looking up if certain types of what we call disabilities could actually be used as a good thing, right?
Yes.
So they were finding that a lot of times people on certain ends of the spectrum with autism actually did really well in IT jobs or engineering jobs, or people with ADHD, because they were able to focus on a given task for a lot longer than the typical person was.
Hmm.
So there's even been lots of studies to show, and this is something that she and I kind of briefly talked about, is ADHD. I don't know. I feel like of all the things we're going to talk about, this one is a little bit different to me because it's not so much a disability as it is learning to learn in a different way. Learning to
Yes.
understand how you need to learn as opposed to how the school corporate system teaches you that you need to learn.
Yes. The school system goes by the rote or route. I think that's what it's pronounced like, rote, where you
Right.
basically repeat the same thing over and over again for everybody, no matter
Right.
what differences people bring.
Right.
Whereas people like myself, and possibly you when you were being taught, teachers had to bring a unique approach to our education if they took an interest in that. But of course, that took a special teacher. I mean, a person that
Right.
was actually able to notice those things, or maybe knew somebody, maybe their kids were, they were different in that way. So they focus on that difference and go, wait a minute, this kid here has abilities that are beyond the typical child. It's not to say other people don't have them. It's just ADD, ADHD unlocks a world of creativity and just new ways of thinking outside the box. In fact, when I look at a box, I don't see a box. I see material for building something new.
Right. Right. Right.
It's
Right.
like, forget, there's not even a box there. It's like, you know, so we don't look at the world in the typical way of just simply, oh, well, this one thing could be used this way or that way. We look at it's like, hmm, let's try this and let's try that. Two completely odd things that might come together and work out. Maybe not.
Right.
But
Right.
that's the thing, like you said, we have to try to conform to the way everybody else fits inside the box while we're punching holes and cutting windows and making doors in the box.
Right, exactly. And what I find very interesting, especially when we talk about because to me this one, the other thing that's a little bit different too is um I guess not always, but a lot of times we tend to associate this with children, right?
Yes.
We can all envision that one little kid that was in your class that could not sit still, that was hyperactive, running around the classroom, acting a goofball, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we can either envision it or we can think about who we were.
Exactly. Exactly. Uh,
Right. So it's not necessarily that there was something wrong with this child.
no.
It's that their brain worked in a completely different way. And what's really sad about it is that you think about how many millions of years or hundreds of thousands of years the human being has been on this planet. We've
Yes.
been studying the human body since the Greek times, right?
Oh yeah.
But it's only been the last 80 years ago or so that we started concentrating on child development. What does
Hmm.
it mean to be a child?
Yes.
How is the child's brain forming that's different than an adult's
I
brain?
think what has it been like in the last maybe 50 years, maybe even shorter than that? We've realized what play means as far as educating people with. That
Right.
having fun while learning actually helps people retain more, no matter who they are,
Right,
helps people
right.
retain more information over a longer period of time, and they don't even feel like they worked at studying.
And my argument for that, for people that that may disagree with that or not see the value or importance of play, every single evolved animal does it.
Yes,
Cats
yes,
do
thank
it,
you.
dogs do it, every
Every
animal does it.
every animal in non-human animal kingdom does it. Yes, you're correct.
Right. That is how they learn how to be what they are. So Alex says, my friend Tiffany has ADHD.
ADHD.
I myself have never been diagnosed. What about yourself, John?
Oh, I've been formally diagnosed. Oh
So a
yeah.
doctor has told you
Oh
you're
yes. I
okay.
took a very extensive, lengthy test. It's a yes and no kind of answer thing, and you just go through it. And you answer just quickly as you can, honestly as you can, and boom, he's like, yeah, you passed with flying colors and then some."
Wow.
So it's nothing. I mean, for me to find out that I had this actually helped me turn my entire life around before my pain became an issue back into
Right.
my life again. I was
Right.
actually to finally have a job and excel at it using all of the attributes ADHD gave me. I used those as my and I was the in my job of all the people that sign people in and out at the hospital, I was
Right.
signing in over 2,000 people a month.
Wow.
The record for anybody was about 145.
Oh, wow.
And I was seeing, and my error rate, they give you, believe it or not, when you go see your doctor, the person signing you in, the doctors and everybody get up to a 20% error rate in your chart. That's a huge amount, in my opinion.
Man, that's
Okay?
crazy.
That's gobs of information that's been forgotten to be put in your chart, or maybe something else has been put in and it's the wrong thing. That's a lot. My error rate was 0.02 with my checks that I came up with from the reading that I learned from all of these other people that have lived. And I came up with a check system that quadruple checked my information within 1 minute to 5 minutes, depending on if you were a seen patient before. I can get you in within 1 to 2 minutes.
Right.
Brand new. All your information being put in, information for your insurance, checking it and all of that, 5 minutes. And
Wow.
that's getting you signed in from the moment you stopped at my desk. And you never felt like I was actually grilling you. I'd always just have a nice casual banter with you.
Right. Right.
And
It wasn't like rushing you.
no, I had never felt like, anybody that, in fact, I tell people, am I interrupting? No. If it wasn't for you, I would have no job.
Right. Right. Right.
So I learned to use my ADHD as my basically my trump card. It was
Right.
it was incredible to understand how to work with it for the first time in my life.
Right.
So
Right.
it's all of my life up till then, I've been fighting it. Sometimes I might luck out, like when I run my own company, and I would run it really well in certain areas. In other areas, I just flounder.
Right.
Now I understood why. So all I can say is, my friend, if you do dare, go and get properly diagnosed with it. That
Right.
way you can actually start reading up on things, or if you want to just read up on the things without doing the diagnosis, I suggest all of that because it helps. It really
Right.
does.
Speaking of reading up
Sorry.
on things, just to make sure that all of us are on the same page, and as we do weekly, I think this is a good time for me to mention that neither of us are licensed professionals.
No.
We are not doctors. I am a school teacher. I have gone to school for early childhood education and human development, but by no means are we experts.
No.
We're just talking about things that we may have experienced, or we may
We may not.
know other
Yeah.
people that are
Yes.
going through that. So really quickly, so we can all be on the same page, I'm going to put up the definition here.
All right.
Boom. You got that?
I'll read
You
it
want
out
me to
for
go?
us.
Okay.
ADHD is one of the most common neurodevelopmental disorders of childhood into adulthood. Children with ADHD may have trouble paying attention, controlling impulsive behaviors, may act without thinking about what results will be, or may be overly active. This is also I've got a meaning over here on my screen here from
Mhm.
it says a chronic condition including attention deficiency, hyperactivity, and impulsiveness. Um, a lot of people assume that as you get older, hey Joe, this thing calms down with you and goes away. I got
Right.
to tell people the truth. As I'm now 53 years old. I just recently turned it, and it's not gotten better. It's actually gotten more intense over the years. And the only reason that it may not get the best of me anymore is because I understand how to work with it more. But no,
Right.
it's not. It's not something that's gotten any easier as I've gotten older. Like, it's lessened, but I've learned how to cope with it and manage it better. That's the
Right.
only reason.
Right. So it's
So
not necessarily easier because conditions have changed. It's
exactly,
easier because you've learned how to work with it.
precisely.
It's kind of like your Incredible Hulk.
Yes, actually, he's my favorite hero. He was my favorite superhero as a kid too.
Right. Maybe there's a reason for it. Maybe you identified.
Yeah.
I know my ADHD with me, and this is not something I really talk about. It's not something I bring up a lot in my private life, but I'm a big pothead, and part of the reason for that is because um, I noticed early on, and obviously when I was a child, I wasn't smoking pot or anything, so it's not anything
Well,
I can
yeah.
do with it about it. But when I got into college and I started experimenting with with things, I noticed that smoking weed helped me slow down my brain.
Oh,
I felt like a lot of times there was 5 or 6 conflicting thoughts going on in my head, and this is why a lot of times when you talk to people with ADHD, you can often tell. One thing I read was that I thought was funny was they were saying that people with ADHD can always spot other people with
yes, they
ADHD.
can. So that's
It's
why I
like
could say, my friend, you definitely are in that spot with me there. Because yeah, you're right. It's like people with autism too. People with autism can naturally just tell that a person has that they're somewhere on the spectrum, not maybe exactly where, but they
right,
can tell. Um, but that's like that with many different mental illnesses and stuff. People can pick out those key traits that aren't stereotypical, but
right,
they're only known to people that are dealing with or that are afflicted with the situation. So it's
right,
not like we're talking about, oh, every person that's autistic acts a certain way. My therapist told me, there's no way you're autistic. I said, let me try the test. Let me see where I fall on the spectrum. And
right.
I felt every time right in the high functioning area of it, every single time. He's like, I would have never guessed. Then I told him about my whole setup here. He's like,
Right.
okay, okay. So you found a way of basically
Deal
um,
or working with it.
working through that and stepping out of your comfort zone to having that stuff always with you or around you. I said, in a way, yeah. I said,
Right.
you guys noticed me at first here with the lightsaber, how it was always with me. It's always in the background here too. I'm sorry. It's just how I am with things. It's like I lock on to things like that and I can't help it. It's just what I've always done.
Right.
So
Right.
it's probably part of the ADHD mixing with the other stuff that, kind of makes it all kind of intense, but it all falls within these different little brackets that I have.
Right. 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 I completely agree. I remember being God, this is so funny. It's so funny the things that like there's that old saying, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah, Jody says that every day.
See, I knew I liked that woman.
She likes you too, man. She's like, tell him I love him. Like,
So,
I will.
you don't know what you don't know. So, as a child, I remember having to do my math homework and getting so completely bored with how they were that I would come up with like, I had these math flashcards and I would create these little games where like certain math cards were aliens and they were destroying other math cards.
Gotcha.
And I
Gotcha. So you made
remember
it more
my
exciting.
mom walking in on me on one time when I was doing this and just yelling at me, just going off on me because I was playing games, right? I wasn't studying my homework, but
You were studying.
I was studying my homework. I
Exactly.
just couldn't do it in the same way that other people did.
I totally understand. Totally understand. For me, it would be I'd be drawing and I'd be looking at the math and I'd be drawing and I'd just be writing down the answers. And my dad came in, he's like, you were told to write that out the long way. And he would start
Right,
yelling at me much the same way. I'm like, but I can't write it out the long way, Dad.
right,
You know it works for
right,
me like this,
right.
but he would get mad.
And at that time period too, when I think about it's different now than even God when you and I were growing up because human development and early childhood development had only really been around for 50 or 60 years. It hadn't really gotten into the main lexicon. Like the
Oh,
everyday parent wasn't really talking about it yet. You know what I mean? You
gotcha.
were
So it wasn't mainstream.
right. You were just a stupid kid. You know what I mean? There was
Yeah.
no
I was the
ADHD
knucklehead,
or
as my
right.
dad called me.
Exactly, exactly. So, but I think as we grow up and learn how to deal with these things, I mean, one thing that I often hear, which I was actually surprised with our friend Alexa, the editor,
Yes.
because she said she was an early morning person,
And
and most people I know with ADHD are late night owls.
uh,
They tend to stay up late at night as opposed to getting up early in the morning. However, it does show the extreme though, right?
mhm,
It's like she still gets up earlier than the typical person does, whereas a lot of people I know tend to stay up later than the typical person does.
gotcha.
So just like you were saying, they can come on up to all types of areas of the spectrum. Before we get going too far, I want to throw up a movie clip. So we're not too. We're like 20 minutes in. I should have thrown this movie clip up like 15 minutes ago.
Whoops. Whoops.
All right, here we go, and we'll talk about this on the other side.
You got it.
See, man, this place right here, it's the place where you learn to harness your powers. You're trained to become leaders, warriors, and heroes. I think you have the wrong guy, all right? I'm not a hero. I'm a loser. I have dyslexia, ADHD. And those are your greatest gifts. When you try to read, the words float off the page, right? That's because your brain's hardwired for ancient Greek, not English. Like, at the museum, I can read. Yeah. And your ADHD? You're impulsive, Percy. You can't be still. Those are your natural battle reflexes, man.
Good morning. I'm Miss Dodds, your substitute English teacher. Would someone please explain what Shakespeare was trying to convey in this line from Othello? Percy Jackson. Well?
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Not often you hear it called out specifically like that, too.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was one reason why I'm like, oh, this has definitely got to be a part of the thing here, because he knows that he has it, and his friend is saying all of these things about all of these awesome things that are strengths for him, and he goes, but I have ADHD, like it's a
Right.
weakness or some sort of bad thing. But it's like, no, that's what makes you able to do things. His dyslexia, the same thing. No, that's what
Right.
makes you able to read the stuff that's, that no one else can read easily.
Right. That'll be a good one to bring up when we finally get to dyslexia, too.
Yes, it would. It really worked that way.
I know, pardon me.
No problem.
I know for me, it wasn't until my college years that I started to understand that this could be an asset. Not a disability, but something that could help me, because I was able to stay up later than other people were and study until 3 and 4 in the morning, then wake up at 8 a.m. and get to class. You know what I mean?
Yes, I remember those days.
I did have, particularly when it was something I was really interested in, I did have hyper focus and attention.
Yes.
To where, like, I could literally be working on something for 3 or 4 hours and look up at the clock and have thought maybe 3 or 4 minutes went by.
Exactly.
But I've been sitting there
Exactly.
intently. Right. What about yourself?
Oh yeah. I always tell Jody and anybody else this. I said, time, you guys might know of as something that goes by at an even rate. For me, I sit down to do something, I look up at the end of the day. I might be in the first thing in the morning when I get up and do something. I look again, and it's the end of the day. If I do like an hour-long broadcast just like this, I feel like, okay, now what do I do with the rest of this energy?
Right. Right.
You know,
Well, I noticed you in particular. I've seen some of your streams where you've been at the 6-hour mark.
oh, I've done that, and that's what I've done for years. 14 years of doing 6, sometimes 8-hour days, just streaming and stuff, but kind of not really with the direction or with a purpose, but not with the real direction. It's just kind of random all over the place.
Right.
So lately I've been trying to just rein it way, way, way back in, because I like this format. I like this new way of structure. I like this. This
Right.
works for me. And I didn't realize how much this might be a disadvantage to me to broadcast nonstop all day to people, because now what if they want to go back and watch a particular part?
Right.
They
Now
have
don't
to
necessarily know where it's at.
Yeah, they now have to weed through 8 hours worth of stream. Boy, that gets boring. And if you're on a phone, God. So for you guys, I apologize. So you'll
Right.
notice that I'm doing my broadcast now, and I'll come on, and like my friend Joe the other day, he goes, "Hey, I got some great racing footage for you." And I said, "Oh, well, we're on YouTube, He's like, "Yeah." I said, "But we could switch over to Twitch where we can show it easily without getting copyrighted and stuff." And so we started to went over there just a few seconds later, and we're up and running, and it was awesome. I'm like, this is working out so much better. Compartmentalizing. I don't know how to say that. Compartmentalizing.
Right.
Yeah, compartmentalizing subjects or topics and stuff. I always forget to put the title or the episode, so I'm sorry about that. But now, at least when you click on one of my videos,
Right.
instead of it being 6 endless hours of boring, sorry,
Well, and
that's how I view myself.
I wouldn't necessarily say that, because that was partially what attracted to me. I think it's just learning different formats. You know what I mean, and learning from other people that have the same challenge you do, but deal with it in a different way.
Okay, yes, definitely. And when you invited me over here and I started seeing how this was working, I'm like, oh, this is what it's like behind the scenes of the broadcast that I see that I like. I didn't know that's how it worked.
Right, right,
Okay,
right.
now
Well,
it's starting to, you
when
know,
you're running multiple shows and on one channel, it makes it a lot easier when you have, everything's compartmentalized. I mean, you see me, I mean, obviously we've worked together, and I'm almost anal retentive in the way I want. This show is for this thing. This
I
show is for
noticed that
this
you're
thing.
very particular of that, and there's nothing wrong with this. In fact, I like that because it's helping me become very particular about things. So when you say we need this subject or we need that topic, I'm like, oh, I know what to do,
Right, right.
and
And I
I'm
feel
hoping
like
I'm
being
nailing
able
it.
to pinpoint and really focus in. Let's talk about the format of this show. Being able to focus in on one topic makes it so that my ADHD brain isn't going all over the medical
Same
dictionary.
here.
You know
Eh,
what I mean? I
Yeah,
can kind of refocus my brain and go, oh, wait, I'm starting to slip to the side. Let's get back to our main topic. We're looking for
exactly.
this. Right. So it can in many ways activate as a purposeful function. Some people find that they have increased energy. Some people find that they have increased focus,
Mhm.
which it may seem really opposite of what people would expect, right? Because you see some people with ADHD are literally like they're all over the place. You know what I
But
mean?
when we
But
lock in on something, we're like a freaking shark,
right, exactly,
or the tiger
exactly.
coming in for the kill.
And then we were talking about how Google has even done studies to show
Yeah.
that certain people with certain disabilities are actually hyper efficient in certain types of jobs.
Yes, they
Uh,
are. Yes, they
some
are.
some people with ADD, or not ADD, some people on the autistic spectrum, they are incredible computer engineers,
Yes,
IT
they
people,
are. Yes, they are.
because they're able to take a big problem and work on it for several hours and break it down piece by piece, whereas
Yes.
some people might get bored with it and start missing things after a
Or
while,
overwhelmed.
or overwhelmed. Exactly. People with ADD, I know a lot of people with ADD that are editors, right? Because that's a job where you get to go kind of be in a room by yourself, and,
Yes.
and you get to work for long periods of time. And I know when I did editing, it was never like I have an idea, I chop it, it's done. I have an idea, I chop it, it's done. It's like, well, what if I do it this way? Oh, well, but what if I tried it this
Oh,
way? Oh,
that's so easy to
and then
do.
you find, okay, and now I've done four different things. Which one do I like better?
For me, I have to. When I look at the program that I'm using, I'm
Right,
like, just keep it as basic as possible. Simple text, simple. If we're going to do a transition, you're just going to use either a fade, or you're going to do a cut, or you're going to do a blur. But you're not going to go with the star and the heart and the. You're
right.
not going to do no. You're not going to add all these special effects and stuff. So keep it simple.
Technically, when I was doing film, if you think about it, like you have all these cool filters and effects and things that
Yeah,
you
you
can
do.
do, but those are for amateurs. They're not for professional people.
Yes.
Professionals, if you go and watch a real movie, there's only like three or four different wipes and cuts that they actually
Exactly. Same
use.
with TV.
Right.
Yep.
You wouldn't mix it up and do all kinds of crazy things
No.
unless you had like a satirical show or a
Well,
comedy show.
or
Then you
you're
might
doing
do
something like when they do what was it, one of the Hulk movies, they did sort of like the comic book, when they do a movie like the comic book theme, where you have sort of the various different pieces and elements of the comic book kind of feel coming in and out, and those,
right,
and for me that doesn't work for me so well because I like it with just the simple.
right, right. And everyone's got their own thing.
So
What
anybody in our
about
audience, do you guys deal with ADD or ADHD? I'm sorry. Were we
no?
thinking the same
We're on
thing?
the same wavelength. I was about to
I'm
say
like,
the
I'm sorry,
same.
I just interrupted you. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no. I wanted to hear from people in the audience, Michaela,
Yeah.
Joe, Alex, anybody who is out there right now. Do you deal with ADHD yourself? How do you cope with it? I know, and this is the thing, like I realize that there are many states and conditions where a child needs to be medicated for one reason or another. If they are a danger to themselves, or if
Oh
they are
yes.
a danger to family members or the people around them, I can understand why medication may be needed. But in my personal case, I I like to look for any alternative to drugs as I can. If there are natural alternatives, such as with ADHD, one of the things parents can do if you have a child that has ADHD, and this may sound bad, this may sound like you're treating them like a dog, right? But take them to the park every night.
Yes.
Let them run for an hour.
Yep.
Don't force them to sit in a desk or sit at that couch where they're fidgety and not comfortable. Let them get that energy out.
Yep. Yeah, I got to say one thing about my dad that was good. He used to take us to the park, even though he would be dog tired coming home from the graveyard shift.
Right.
He would take us kids to the park. He would toss a ball, hit it with us, taught me how to catch a ball and stuff like that, throw a football, baseball and stuff like that. And that really helped with that energy, that excess energy. And anytime that he saw that I was fidgety and stuff, he's like, go out and play. He's like, go out, play, man.
Right.
All right, cool.
Right.
So he was good in those ways.
Right. We all have our goods and our bads. Michaela says, I don't have ADHD. This is the first episode that I don't relate. That's all right. I really hope many of these episodes don't relate to you at all, Michaela, because we're going to be all over the place. Joe says, gaming for me, and I'm not great at regular math, but have me do math on the engine and I can do it with no problem. I find that very fascinating. You see there, that's a perfect example of what we're talking about.
Yep.
Because that's something he's interested in.
Exactly. And this young man he's awesome with the mechanic stuff, man. He is awesome. He's shown me some cool stuff. He got these awesome rims and tires and stuff for his truck.
Right.
I'd be like, all right, how do I figure out how do these things? I wouldn't even know how you begin to figure out what fits on there. I would have to go and ask somebody who, like Joe. I'd be like, Joe, how do I figure that out?
Right. Michaela says, I definitely relate to the PTSD episode that I missed. Oh, we're sorry that you missed that one. And some of these, it maybe we need to return to topics at some point
Possibly.
too.
Yeah.
Possibly as the show gets bigger and we get more and more of an audience, we can return to topics that we hadn't talked about in quite some time. Because at some point I feel like we're gonna, I don't know, there's so many different things. I don't see how we could run out of topics, but at the same time, I'm always worried that that's going to happen somehow.
We have more topics, disability, mental illness and stuff. We'll have more topics than are human beings.
But that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Really quickly, I want to go to another video we have here.
You got it.
And we'll talk about it on the other side there. So here we go.
Hiccup.
Dad, I have to talk to you, Dad.
I need to speak with you too, son. I think it's time you learn to fight dragons. What? You go first.
No, you go first.
All right. You get your wish. Dragon training. You start in the morning.
Oh, man, I should have gone first. 'Cause I was thinking, we have a surplus of dragon-fighting Vikings, but do we have enough bread-making Vikings or small home repair Vikings?
You'll need this.
I don't want to fight dragons.
Come on, yes you do.
Rephrased, Dad, I can't kill dragons.
But you will kill dragons.
No, I'm really very extra sure that I won't.
It's time, Hiccup.
Can you not hear me?
This is serious, son. When you carry this axe, you carry all of us with you. Which means you walk like us, you talk like us, you think like us. No more of this.
You just gestured to all of me.
Deal?
This conversation is feeling very one-sided.
Deal?
Deal. Yeah, between you and me, the village could do with a little less feeding, don't you think?
This isn't a joke, Hiccup. Oh, why can't you follow the simplest orders?
I can't stop myself. I see a dragon and I have to just kill it, It's who I am, Dad.
Oh, yeah, many things, Hiccup. But a dragon killer is not one of them. Get back to the house. Make sure he gets there. I have his mess to clean up.
He never listens.
Well, it runs in the family.
And when he does, it's always with this disappointed scowl, like someone skimped on the meat in his sandwich.
Excuse me, barmaid. I'm afraid you brought me the wrong offspring. I ordered an extra large boy with beefy arms, extra guts and glory on the side. This is a talking fish bone.
No, you're thinking about this all wrong. It's not so much what you look like, it's what's inside that he can't stand.
Thank you for summing that up.
Look, the point is, stop trying so hard to be something you're not.
I just want to be one of you guys.
Wow.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Yeah. You know, that's another very interesting thing is that I feel like, and I'm not sure how much is the ADHD itself and how much is maybe other components that that may come along with having ADHD, but how isolated you can feel and how different you can feel from the rest of the group, right? You're
Yes.
constantly being told, settle down,
Yes.
stop being who you are, be someone I want you to be,
Yes.
right?
My
And
dad
so
was like that with me all the time.
you can start to feel that you're not good enough or that
Yes.
somehow you don't have a place
Yes.
in your own group, in your own society.
Yeah, I felt like an outcast in my own family.
Right.
I felt like I didn't belong there because I wasn't something my dad wanted me to be. And it seemed no matter what I did, even if it was what my dad seemed to want, it still was never good enough
Right.
type of thing. And I'm not trying to just make them look bad or anything. I'm just saying to feel those feelings that you can't fit in. You go to school, you do the things you do, you can't fit in. And you fit in with some people that you make friends with, and everybody calls you weird, freak, geek, nerds. Like these are bad things. And when
Right.
I would look at people and go, yeah, so people eventually just stopped calling us that because I could see that they just didn't get to me. I'm like, yeah, so.
Right.
So I go to the library, I read encyclopedias, big deal. I
Right.
used to,
Right.
you know. I play chess, whoop-de-doo. I play Dungeons and Dragons, woohoo!
Right. Right. Yeah, you start to realize how many times you get made fun of for things that are completely outside of yourself.
Mhm.
And you know, in one ways, I'm thankful for this time period that we're living in, where people are starting to become more accepting of the fact that different people exist and live.
Yes, that is
Um,
nice.
at the same time, it's also kind of scary to me how many people reject that idea and that notion.
Yes.
I personally don't understand it. I feel like even if you are different than I am, even if you are different in a way that I don't understand, that doesn't give me any more rights than you have.
Exactly.
Sorry, and this is what I'm talking about going off subject.
I
All right.
understand.
Back to the ADHD. So let's see. Alex says my girlfriend has ADHD. Alex had also asked if we could talk about his disability and how he can control his stuttering. We'll talk about after show if we want to make that next. I don't necessarily. I'm starting to run out of natural ones unless you had one that you wanted to, but we could definitely talk about stuttering.
Yep, stuttering definitely. That I had a friend who stuttered,
Right.
and I would be around him enough to where I would stutter with him, not to make fun of him, but it would just happen.
Right.
You just pick it up subconsciously, and you start stuttering along with them, or you start finishing things for them, not being
Right.
rude, but you finish it for them.
Right, because you know where they're going to go with it. Because you
Yeah.
understand their ways of speaking. Yeah. Again, not to go too much on the side of that. When we were talking about that before, there was actually this case incident, and there's actually a name for this medical disease. We got to look it up. I don't remember what it's called, but it may be something we could talk about with stuttering. But there's this incident, and you may have heard of this. This is famously the one that happened was there was these girls in like the 18th century that started laughing and they couldn't stop laughing. I mean, literally hours and days on end. And then it started spreading to the village
I was
to
just reading
where,
about this.
yeah, to where like hundreds of people in the village got this laughing disease and a few people actually died from it.
Yes. What's weird, while I was looking at the ADHD thing and all of that, I came across, I'm trying to remember that article here. Hang on, here it is. It's called the hang on, let me grab it here. I'll put it in here. It's called. Oh, here it is. Put it over here. I had to say that. Like that effect. It's basically an emotional. It's emotional incontinence. It's a type of emotional disturbance characterized by uncontrollable episodes of crying, laughing, and other outbursts.
Wow,
Yeah.
pseudodubular.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put the link into the chat so that everybody can take a look. It's on a wiki thing. But yeah, I came across this exact wiki thing and I'm like reading this. I'm like, what the world?
Yeah, it was very interesting. But it also got me thinking about, when you hear about, like, let's say you have a group of women that work together at the same store and they all start getting on the same cycle.
Yes.
And that's what
yes.
it made me think of. Like, the human being is an amazing, amazing machine.
It really
or
is.
Animal, however you want to look at it. The way it has these abilities to self-repair or to have little shortcuts in your mind so that your brain can work at its most effective peak.
Want to
right?
hear another thing on a more biological thing closer to what Michaela deals with?
Yeah.
Michaela, you're not the only one with a fancy little problem with your blood. My mitochondria are fine, but blood cells, they're a certain size.
Right.
Mine are a little bit smaller. It seems that my genetics give me this. Hopefully, I got a blood test taken. I'm going to be seeing a guy in February, and we'll be going over what it exactly is that I have. But he says, basically, if you have a good gene and a bad gene, the good gene and bad gene come together for tropical people living in tropical countries. You cannot get malaria. You are immune to malaria. And that is a huge problem in those areas where your ancestors would have come from. So
Right.
you probably have that. My body doesn't absorb iron at the same rate that everybody else does with the larger blood cells
Right.
or a standard size one. So my body ends up storing it. And he's like, you have an excess of iron right now. So you can take in supplements of any kind. You'll be just fine.
Right.
And he's like, talk about how we adapt and overcome. I mean, it does it even on the biological. I mean, down to the down to our blood and stuff. I mean, that's just wicked. I'm like, what?
Right. We were talking about how on the that Limitless program with Chris
Oh, it doesn't have
Hemsworth.
anything to do with the blood? Oh, okay. So they're also in the cells. Okay. Sorry about that. I thought that was also to do with the blood. Sorry about that, Michaela. I'm learning stuff all over the place.
That's good. That's why we do these shows, right? So we can learn from each other.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, the body has an amazing way, and sometimes to its own detriment, but it's constantly making these decisions, right? What's more important? What's more important, to save a finger or to save your heart? Save your brain or save your leg? You know what I mean? So the body is constantly making these trade-off and these choices just to keep you going and functioning.
Wow.
Do you have anything else you want to say, or should I roll that last clip?
You can roll the last one if you like. That's fine.
Yeah, we're about 15 minutes to the end of Man, tonight went quick. It
Yeah,
always
didn't it?
goes
I mean,
so
it just
quick.
went in a blink.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking. It's like these hour short ones here. I'm like, really?
Right,
We need more time.
We start and we're already done.
Yeah, we could go to 10 if you want. Well, 10 here,
All right, this is one of my favorite ones here. And, let me just point out, too, when we do these video clips, a lot of times, like this one in particular, I think we had probably 6 or 7 different movie options to choose from. Some of the topics, it gets very difficult to find examples. But this one, we had an abundance of choices. There was Drop Dead Fred. We had talked about Drop Dead Fred.
The picture you shared with me had me cracking up. Like, oh my God.
The Freddy Krueger one?
Yes. I was freaking perfect.
Drop Dead Fred. There's Blur from the original Transformers movie.
Yes.
And a lot of these, a lot of them, unlike Percy Jackson, won't directly come out and say, this person has ADHD. But like we were saying earlier, how often people with the condition can recognize other people with the condition.
Yes.
You can see these stereotypes of ADHD on TV and realize Home Alone is another another example.
Yes.
Like when he first realized he was home by himself, and he was
Yes.
like running through the house, jumping on the bed, eating the cereal, like doing everything he wanted to
Yes.
do.
I love that movie.
So in this case, there were a ton of choices in popular culture. I am to talk about. I'm not sure what that third word is.
Any chance to talk about his disability is what he's saying.
I'm just any chance, yeah. And eventually, we're gonna get around to just about everything you can imagine. And that's another thing too. If you guys have special requests on things, I'm sure John and I are very open to learning about something new.
So if you guys want to hear about, I'm guessing stuttering being definitely an interesting one to bring up and talk about.
Yeah, we talked about James Earl Jones maybe a month ago, I think. We were
Yes.
I don't know why. See, that's why I say you start doing these shows and you're like, wait, didn't we talk about this already? Yeah.
It's funny how things just overlap so much, and that you go back, you're like, oh yeah, we did talk about James Earl Jones. In his early days, he had stuttering.
Right. And in fact, I think, I don't know if it's like the Stuttering Institute or Stuttering Organization, but some big medical group that does a lot of research and studying uses him as kind of their example of well-known stutterers.
Yes, like their poster child.
The poster child, exactly. Well, shoot, if you're gonna have a poster child, who better than Mufasa and Vader?
Exactly. I mean, that iconic voice of his.
Right. And who would think that voice could be a stutterer? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
One of the most, like you said, it's an iconic voice. That voice, is probably one of the best known voices on the planet.
There's also a song that's called The Scat Man. He's a stutterer. And he stutters throughout the entire song, but he uses the stuttering to make that song possible.
Oh.
And he started his career at around age 45.
Wow.
Yeah. Very talented gentleman. And I was like, I looked more into the background of it. Turns out he does actually stutter. He still stutters to this day, but he used that stuttering of his to create that style of his music.
That's dope. See?
Isn't that cool?
That's super cool. That's taking what people call a disadvantage and making it your weapon, right?
Yep, making it into lemonade.
Right, exactly. All right, so here we go with this video. I love this.
Hey, Mr. Grumpy Gills. When life gets you down, you know what you gotta do?
I don't want to know what you gotta do.
Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, swimming, swimming. What do? We swim, swim.
Dorino. What is it?
It's so pretty.
I'm feeling happy, which is a big deal for me.
I want to touch it.
Ooh. Hey, come back. Come on back here.
I'm gonna get you.
I'm gonna get you.
I'm gonna get you.
I'm gonna swim with you.
I'm gonna get you.
I'm gonna be your best friend. Good feelings gone. Dory! So what did it say? What did the mask say?
P. Sherman, 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney. I remembered what it said. I usually forget things, but I remembered it that time. P. Sherman, 42...
Wait. Now, where is that?
I don't know. But who cares? Ha-ha! I remember! Boing, boing, boing,
Dory!
boing, boing. You can't
Dory!
catch me.
Don't
boing,
bounce on the tops. They will not sting you. The tops don't sting you. That's it.
2 in a row. Beat that.
Dory, all right, listen to me. I have an idea. A game.
A game?
A game.
A game?
Yes.
Ah, I love games. Pick me.
All right, here's the game. Whoever can hop the fastest out of these jellyfish wins.
Okay.
Rules.
Okay.
You can't touch the tentacles. Only the tops.
Something about tentacles. Got it. On your mark, get set.
Dory.
What's going on? I think he says we've stopped.
Well, of course we've stopped. Just stop trying to speak whale. You're gonna make things worse.
Nemo! It's you! You're Nemo! Yes! Oh, you're Nemo! You were dead. I saw you, and then here you are. I found you. You're not dead, and your father... Your father!
My father? You know my father? Where is he?
This way! He went this way. Quick!
I love Dory, dude. I have Dory stuff all over my room, dude. I'm such
man.
I am Dory.
That is so funny because, oh, hang on,
Damn it.
give us a few seconds. The stream is telling us it's unavailable.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is what happened last week, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
I tried to keep him down. Darn it.
That's all right. That's all right. It'll pop back on. You know what? I gotta rewatch these and see what it looks like on the rewatch. Does it come up? Oh, I guess it does because I'm looking at the TV right now.
Yeah, if you've got yours on, you'll see what it looks like there. It looks exactly like that.
Stream unavailable.
Yeah, give it about a minute or two, and then it comes back on. So here's what we're at here, so you can see it a little easier here. That's all it looks like, and then it'll pop back on here. And now I'll switch back as soon as it comes back on.
Oops, clip too long. Disney got mad.
Yeah.
So our friends aren't on with us right now. No, they are not.
They are. They're still here. They're still live. They just can't hear us.
They can wait. They can see us?
No, they can only see what they see there right now, and the stream is completely cut off to them. Give it a few more seconds here, and it'll be back on.
Okay. We have to figure this out. Either we're gonna have to figure out how to get around. We got to figure out what the other YouTube channels are doing.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked into getting licensing for public display, but as soon as I mentioned doing it online, the clearinghouses that I contact don't want anything to do with me because, oh, you can't do that online. Well, but we can give you a license if you want to do it.
You know what though? We got to be able to. Well, we got to find. This is why it's not what you know; it's who you know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We got to find another creator that does this type of thing, and find out what they do to get around it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because obviously other people do it. So the big thing that I can think of, the one thing that I noticed though, is it seems like on some of these other channels they cut off the audio every once in a while.
Yeah, I've noticed that a couple of times, and
I think we're back.
Yep, there we are. There we are. Let me come back on.
I apologize for all of you.
Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. We will learn from our first instance where we just have to wait it out. It takes about 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay, so we are still learning. We'll figure this show out. But thank you for sticking in there. I had noticed our drop stayed exactly the same, so nobody left because we.
Thank you for not leaving.
Thank you for not leaving.
We're so not worthy.
That was the last clip. I promise. I promise.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a lot there. There was so much there.
I mean, that whole movie is an example.
Right. And then there was finding not Graveyard. What is up? In fact, I joined during it.
Hey, Graveyard.
Graveyard. Thank you for waiting out.
Thank you. Hey, how many shotgun shells was that? I love that, man. I love that.
Yeah, that whole movie. In fact, there was the follow up was Finding Dory, right?
Yes.
Dory was such a popular character, and I think it's because, well, what did I read? 1 in 5 people. What is that? What it said at the beginning? 1 in 5 people are afflicted with ADHD.
I believe so. Yes.
So that means if you know 5 people, 1 person has it. So I think it's kind of it's a stereotype we can all recognize, and we can all go, oh my God, I got a cousin that's just like that. Or, I've got a friend that lives on my block that acts just like that.
Exactly.
What are you laughing at?
Oh, just ADHD running away from me here. Hot's going here and over there, and I'm like, stop it. Stop it.
One of the things that Dory did in those bits of sketches that I absolutely love that for me seems to be a thing is random memory.
Yes.
Like forgetting something, and all of a sudden out of nowhere in the middle of like a horrible situation, oh wait, I remember now.
Yes. That crap happens to me all the freaking time. No.
Right. She was turning everything into a game. We talked about that earlier when I was saying I was having problems in math when I was a little kid.
Yep.
It was taking the math problems and trying to turn it into a game. She was Marlon figured out to do that with Dory.
Yes.
Turning the jellyfish into a game.
Yep. Get out of a dangerous situation by making it into a game. So.
Another thing, I liked how Dory was speaking whale.
Oh, that was
Um,
hilarious. Oh, when I first saw that, I was in tears, laughing so hard at that. I'm like, that is just the cutest thing ever.
well, what that does for me is it speaks to. I know a lot of people with ADHD. I would say they tend to be more adventurous than the
Yes,
typical person. They're more willing to try out something that maybe somebody else hadn't thought to do yet.
they think outside the norm.
They
Yep,
think outside the norm. So that's why when Dory was speaking whale, I automatically, I
connected with that.
understood.
Yeah, so did I. I mean, that's why I was laughing. I'm like, really? I would have tried the same thing.
Hey, if you're gonna die anyways, try anything, right?
Yeah.
Wonderful. So hey, we've got we only got about 3 minutes left in the show. Let's
You don't
talk
have to if
about.
you don't want to. We can go over.
We
I
could
got
go
I got
over.
another hour if you want. It's up to
Well,
our.
I don't want to keep it too long so that we run out of stuff and people are just bored.
Oh, that's true.
But if anybody has any tips or any facts, any ways that they deal with their ADHD that they want to contribute, we'd love to have you contribute. That's really what this show is supposed to be about. When John and I talked about the show, it wasn't supposed to be, an hour of us speaking at you. It was supposed to be a conversation.
Yeah.
So, as more and more people grow in this group,
And if you don't have ADD or ADHD, maybe you know somebody who does, and you can explain a little bit about how they deal with it or things they do to cope with
right,
it,
or how you deal with it,
or how you deal with
dealing
them
with
and their
them.
ADHD. Yeah.
Right, because I think so many times we think about the person who has, say, a disability or an issue, but we don't think about the people that it directly affects.
Yes.
Which is mostly the people that have to see them every day.
Yes.
And I want to talk about cerebral palsy. We
Okay.
will get to cerebral palsy. I think I don't know how you feel, John, but I think stuttering is a good one to go to next week.
Yeah, that was a good. I mean, Alex brought that up himself before, which is a good topic to bring up is stuttering.
Right.
That's
So I think that will be our topic for next week. But if anybody has any suggestions for how they deal with their ADHD, like I said with John, here's another thing. I know I bring this up a lot, but I actually didn't realize how impressed I was with the series. But the Limitless series on Disney Plus with
oh yes,
with Chris Hemsway. There's the last episode about old age. And the
Yes.
first time I watched that one, I wasn't really digging that episode.
that was an excellent one.
Yeah, I didn't get a lot from it myself. However, we rewatched it in class last week.
Oh,
And it gave me a different perspective. Maybe I just needed to see it a second time.
gotcha.
And one of the things that really stuck with me was his talking about how sometimes you just need to accept. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like you can't
Yes.
fight against things. You need to accept that this is what it is.
Yes.
How do I make this work in my life?
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what I found so profoundly powerful in that episode was that whole acceptance part of the whole thing. I'm like, finally, somebody who's not just trying to run away from it with making plastic surgery as part of their routine or this or that, but they accept the fact that age is a part of what we will face. I mean,
Right.
we are
Exactly.
living organisms.
Exactly.
If we're lucky, we will get old.
If we're lucky. Well, whole side conversation. This is the ADD again, right? I often think about, do you ever think about how lucky we are as human beings to be one of the only animals who has at least a good shot of not ending in a horrible, violent death?
Yes.
Like every other animal on this planet is going to be eaten probably as their last thing that they remember on this planet.
More than likely, yes, that's true. We were.
Hey, really quickly, Graveyard, if you were here, Graveyard says oldest daughter just got diagnosed with ADD, learning new things. I would like to ask you, Graveyard, do you yourself have ADHD? I don't know, but if you told me you did, I would not at all be surprised, and this is why. Graveyard has at least 2 to 4 podcasts that he does on top of his IT job. We specifically talked about
he's an
IT people,
okay.
right?
Wow.
And then he's also has many varying interests. Is not just interested in one thing. He's got a huge wide span of interest. So if you had to ask me, I would guess that
He's got
Graveyard was a low level ADHD. Like he handles it much better. He's much more calm about it. That was another thing that we talked about at the beginning, right? Because
he doesn't have the hyper part.
he does. That's what I see.
Yep,
I
I
don't
see that in
necessarily
him
know.
too. It's funny because when I listen to his podcast and the way that they go about it and stuff, and what you described just now,
Right.
I'm like, yep, definitely. I could see where he has ADD. I can definitely
Right.
see where he has that, and there's nothing bad with that. It's the fact that makes you more creative than what other people might be that don't have it.
Right.
It's what allows you to be able to, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, and if you're able to figure out how to get those projects started and finished, you're that much more ahead. And that's the thing with ADD and ADHD. We start lots of things, but we don't tend to finish them.
That is an issue. What I wanted to bring up with Graveyard, the reason why I specifically asked if Graveyard, and I apologize if that's kind of putting you on the spot, or if you're not comfortable talking about that. But my thought process for asking that was he had mentioned his oldest daughter just got diagnosed.
Yes.
And I was just thinking, God, if he had ADD himself, what a blessing he would be to that daughter. Like,
yes,
to be in this new generation where the adults can be understanding about it instead of criticizing you or making you feel bad as a child because you are different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's, like I said, we're living in this time period where people are more open to understanding some of the challenges that other people deal with.
Yeah, it's an era of awareness, which is wonderful. Mental awareness, physical ability awareness, and various awarenesses that are coming to light about differences of people. And it's just so nice.
Right.
Of course, we still have the knuckleheads that want to insist that none of this is real, but it's like, sorry, doesn't make it go away.
Right. A lot of people don't because they don't see you with crutches, or they don't see you in a wheelchair, or they don't see some physical sign. They don't think that maybe you're dealing with things. But there's a lot of mental challenges people have,
Or you're
that
not
are
showing
just as big of
stereotypical
disabilities.
signs of things.
Right.
Yeah. So So here's some ideas for you, my friend Graveyard. This is something that my psychiatrist, he was the one that gave me this book. Now I know that's not the same subject as yours, but I'm going to suggest that you guys read different books that you get from the library about people that have ADD, ADHD, people that have living with ADD, ADHD. Look them up, watch people's videos on YouTube together, and you will learn different ways to adapt and overcome and work with and manage things that you would have never thought of before. And before your daughter knows it, she'll be doing all of these things automatic pilot, and she'll be coping with life and getting to do things that you've always imagined her doing without all of this struggle. I was 35 years old when I got properly diagnosed. And up until that point, life was a struggle for me unless I was running my own company.
Right.
So
I'm actually looking up right now. I should have thought of this earlier, but I'd like to look up a list of famous people with ADD.
There's lots of them.
I'm sure
Albert
there are,
Einstein.
dude. I'm sure Hollywood is full of them.
Albert Einstein. To start off with.
Oh, there is Alex. Hold on.
There are tons of them.
HD. Adam Levine, Michael Phelps, Justin Timberlake, Simone Biles. I find it interesting that that we have. Oh, you're not even there. We have athletes that are coming up.
Yes.
Athletes that are coming up on that. No problem. I'm gonna put Alex on for a second here.
Okay.
Alex,
Hey,
what's going on, Daddy?
Hey, Alex.
Hi guys.
How are you doing?
I just came on to say you guys are doing.
I think your mic went out. Alex, I think your mic went out, buddy.
Yeah, he's silent on my end now too.
Oh, are we getting? I thought we were getting audio back on.
You guys are doing awesome.
I think I heard awesome.
Hey, Mezzo.
Mezzo!
How are you doing?
Yeah.
Thank you, Alex. We appreciate it. Mezzo, we hope you are feeling better. We saw that you did not get to do your. For those that don't necessarily that don't know, Mezzo does a live game stream every Wednesday at 10 a.m. So she did not get to do that today. So we wish her we wish you the best. Attitude, I guess, is what the magazine.
Oh, yes.
Can I add to the topic that you were talking about?
Of course.
About ADHD?
Yes, please.
How, like I told you in the comments, my friend has ADHD, and she deals with things in her own you you guys you guys know you guys know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, we were saying earlier that I think 1 in 5 people has ADD, so it's very ADHD. It's very possible that it's very probable that most everybody watching this can think of somebody right offhand. I
Yes.
want to read something really quick. I'm reading this Attitude article, and it's got a list of 24 famous people you may know that have ADHD. Number 1 on their list, and I love this this quote of what he's saying. Trevor Noah from The Daily Show. I love The Daily Show.
He's awesome.
I would not have guessed him for having it. And this is what he says, and I love this. Noah's recently shared his personal struggle with ADHD and depression in a CBS interview. What I've come to learn, thanks to some great therapists, is that my depression is created by severe levels of ADHD. If I'm not careful in how I sleep, how I eat, and how I manage my routine, I can become overwhelmed and it can feel like the whole world is just too heavy to bear.
Exactly. I mean, that explains so much of how so many people feel. I felt that way most of my life till I started understanding how to cope with it. Like
Right.
he has started learning how. But yeah, Trevor Noah is one of my favorite people.
Right. And I mean, this list I'm looking at next is Simone Biles, athlete, incredible. Emma Watson.
Yes.
Johnny Depp.
Yes.
Channing Tatum, Justin Timberlake, David Grohl from Nirvana and the Foo Fighters.
Yep.
Michael Phelps, Sam Fender, a lot of white people. Terry Bradshaw, Howie Mandel, Solange Knowles. Lisa Lang, Tim Howard, will.i.am. Okay, I don't want to necessarily say it like this, but I'm noticing how all the people of color are at the bottom of the list. And all the white people are the. I'm just saying. I'm just pointing out what I'm looking at in this. Adam Levine. Yeah. So there's a lot of famous people. Wow, David. No. Sorry. There's a lot of famous people in a lot of different industries that we can see that are actually kind of masters of their industry. David Grohl was in two of the, the most iconic bands of our lifetimes.
Yeah.
Nirvana and Foo Fighters. Michael Phelps, Simone Biles, some of the most incredible athletes of our time.
And I just want to add. I know that we're not talking about stuttering, but a music singer has a stutter as well.
Well, we can talk about that on the stuttering episode. We'll be talking about that next week. Maybe you can put that in the behind the scenes thing, and we can do some research on that person.
Okay.
Do we have anything else for ADHD, guys? What are your thoughts, John?
No, I'm pretty good. I think I've said everything I can say.
Yeah. I want to thank everybody who has tuned in with us. I want to thank Mezzo and Alex for being a part of the team as well.
Definitely.
And Michaela, I'm going to get a hold of you and talk to you about helping out our team here as well. John and I had talked about it.
Yeah, we would like you to be a part. If you want to be a part of it, that'd be awesome.
We got some ideas on how you could help us out tremendously and be a part of our crew. We would love to make that happen. So next week, it sounds like we are. She said, okay.
She said, okay. That's okay. That works for me.
I'm just going to add her directly into the group and then just talk to her from there.
There we go.
Next week, it sounds like we're talking about stuttering, my friend.
If that's okay with everybody here, stuttering it is.
Stuttering it is.
Yes, because I have a stuttering disability. And
no, you don't. No, I don't believe it.
and I can't help, the way that I just takes me a whole lot longer to get out what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I definitely can. Well, I can't say I understand. I can sympathize. I've never been in that situation myself, but I can see how that would be a very difficult, and frustrating thing to live with. So that's why we're going to talk about it next week.
That's why we want to talk about it, because
I'm going to learn about it myself. And actually, Alex, you'll probably be a really good guide for that discussion.
Yep.
So, from us here at Hearts of Kyber, my buddy John and Alex Mezzo, who is somewhere in the atmosphere, and I myself in Ark, we are here every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Whether I have the flu or not, I will be here, damn it. Don't forget, on Wednesdays, we also have Kyber Cave Gaming at 10 a.m. on... I'm trying to hit them all at the bottom right now.
Yeah.
5 p.m. every Wednesday, we have Hearts of Kyber.
Yep.
Then on Fridays at 8 p.m., we have Kyber Cave After Dark. Sundays at 7 p.m., we have Saber Rattle. Oh, there's not one up here yet.
Just
Mondays
so
now.
All the hours he's talking about are California time.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
This is all Pacific time. You know what's kind of crazy? We were looking at our Kyber Cave Productions group, and like with our shows.
Yeah.
We now have more people that are in the crew outside of the area than we do in the area.
Oh.
So when you consider we have, you, we've got at least 3 people on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of funny. There's only a few of us that actually live anywhere near each other.
That's because California, you can't afford to live there anymore.
Yeah, I have a cardboard box on the side of the freeway that I broadcast.
I was wondering,
There's actually freeway traffic right behind me. That's why I put the curtain up.
Curtain there. Yep.
Please excuse me while I pull this needle out of my leg.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, y'all. We will see you guys next week. Thank you for tuning in and hanging out with us on Hearts of Kyber. Take it easy, y'all.
Hey, buddy.